We continue now at the top of Daf 15b Meseches Sukkah. This is Sukkah Daf 15b. On the previous Amud, the Mishnah had said that if you have a situation where you have, let's say, rods of metal on the top of your Sukkah, as long as you leave exactly the amount of airspace as is the rods, so then you just put the schach in between and everything is good. So it sounded like the Mishnah was saying 50% schach and 50% pasel schach is going to be okay. The question is that according to Rav Huna Breder Rav Yoshua, when it comes to the Hilchas Shabbos, mechitzos, walls on Shabbos, if it's exactly paretz ka'omed, it's exactly 50-50, meaning 50% wall and 50% airspace, it is not good. So how come our Mishnah says it is? And so the Gemara answered, benichnas v'yotze. According to Rav Huna Breder Rav Yoshua, our Mishnah means to say there is a little extra space because you're able to put in the kosher schach berevach with ease, and therefore that little extra space makes it that you have more than 50% of kosher schach. And so the Gemara now asks, but isn't it possible to be precise? Isn't it possible to be exact? And Rashi over here explains, right now the Gemara thinks that when the Gemara had answered on the previous Amud that it's nichnas v'yotze, the schach can go in with ease, what the answer was as follows: kol kemoso b'nichnas v'yotzehu stamahu b'nichnas v'yotze, meaning it has to be a case where it can go in with ease. Why? Because it's not normal so that something could be that precise. In other words, the Gemara right now understands that the Gemara on the previous Amud, when it gave the answer for Rav Huna Breder Rav Yoshua, really meant it's impossible to be precise. So clearly, there's got to be more than 50% kosher schach. It's impossible to have it exactly precise, not less, not more. And so the Gemara asks, what are you talking about? If a person would turn his attention in order to try to make it precise, it's certainly possible to be precise. We should take the Mishnah literally and say that it really means kemosan. It really means 50% kosher schach, and yet it's saying that it's kosher, even though it's paretz ka'omed. And so the Gemara answers, Amar Ravami says, b'madif. The case in our Mishnah is there is a little extra space. Rashi explains, Umeshani, Amar Ravami b'madif masnisin lo achsher b'mitzamtzem. Our Mishnah is not talking about where it's exact. Ela b'madif revach shebein sayim al rochav hashvudim. You're having a little extra space beyond the width of the shvudim. V'chamosan dekatani b'nichnas v'yotze. In other words, it's not that it's impossible. Of course it is possible to be mitzamtzem, that is true. But we're not saying it's impossible to be mitzamtzem. We're just saying our Mishnah is talking about nichnas v'yotze. It's not exact. There's a little extra space, a little extra kosher schach. Gemara gives another answer. Rava says, afilu tema b'shein mad, if you could say even in a situation where you don't leave some extra space. Imhayu nesunim shasi nosnan erev nosnan shasi. Whatever direction you're putting the pasel schach, you're going to put the kosher schach the other direction. If the pasel schach is put in the shasi direction, you put the other one erev, or the reverse. In other words, the point is you're going to do it crisscross. Rashi over here says, Rava amar afilu b'mitzamtzem. Rava says you could even say we're talking about mitzamtzem where it's exact. There's an exact amount of airspace. But if you put the shvud in the metal one direction, you put the schach the other direction, you crisscross again. Because if you don't do it that way, if you don't put the kosher schach on top of the metal in that direction, what's the purpose of the metal rods? The whole purpose of the metal rods is to hold up the schach. So clearly, the schach is going to rest in the other direction on top of the metal rods. Now when you're doing that, if you're laying it on top across, so there really is more kosher schach than pasel schach, and it's going to be mevatel the pasel schach, it's going to nullify that pasel schach. And the Gemara continues at the two dots, quoting the Mishnah, O Baruchos Hamita, it says that if you're going to put on top of the sukkah again, the Aruchos Hamita, which is the boards that make up the frame of the bed, those are also not kosher schach. Again, if you have 50%, you leave some airspace, it's going to be okay. So the Gemara says, Leva Messiah Leila Rabami Bar Tivyume. Let us say that our Mishnah, which says that Aruchos Hamita are pasel for schach, is a support for Avama Bar Tivyume, Diyamar Rabbi Ami rather Bar Tivyume, Diyamar Rabbi Ami Bar Tivyume, because Rabbi Ami Bar Tivyume says, Sechacha b'valoi kelim psula. He says if you use worn out kelim for your schach, that's going to be pasel. Rashi over here says b'valoi kelim. L'kamon mefarish b'matlonio she'in ben shalosh al shalosh. We're talking about very small, worn out kelim. Di'avagav dehashal makabel tumah. Even though they're so small now that they're not makabel tumah, they're not considered a kli. Kevan de mikli, also since they come from a kli, gazer bar rabbanan, the rabbanan make a gezerah. It's as if it's a kli, and it can't be used for schach. Aruchas nami hashalom makabli tumah. The same thing with the boards of wood that make up the frame of the bed. Right now, it's not a bed. It's not makabel tumah. It's just the boards of wood that make up the frame of the bed. The lo chazul lamidi, they're not fit for anything. Ela mikli ka'asu, but they come from a kli. So right now we think that's the pshat in the Mishnah. That's why it's a problem. Is that a support for this idea? So the Gemara says not necessarily. Kid Amar Rav Chanan Amar Rebbe. It could be that our Mishnah follows what Rav Chanan said in the name of Rebbe in another context. He said, Ba'arucha shtei karayim, b'ketzaru shtei karayim. He said we could be talking about the long boards of the bed and two of the legs, or we could be talking about the short boards of the bed and two of the legs. So Hachanami, here also in our Mishnah, Ba'arucha shtei karayim, b'ketzaru shtei karayim. We're talking about the long board of the bed with two of the legs, or the short board of the bed with two of the legs. Rashi over here says, Baruch shtei karayim ima. Well, the common mefarish l'may chaza. The Gemara will explain what this is fit for, but the point is, on its own, it is fit for use, and therefore it has the status of a kli. It's not considered like worn-out kalim. It actually is at a higher level than that, and therefore it's no proof to the issue of beloy kalim. Kitsara osam asher barochav. I mean, the kitsara, the short boards, are the ones that are on the width of the bed. Latzad mar shoseh mar galoseh, meaning where the person's head is or where the person's feet are. And the Gemara says, Heicha itmar to Rav Chanan Amar Rebbe. Where did Rav Chanan Amar Rebbe make this statement? Where did Rav Chanan say, in the name of Rebbe, the board of the bed and two legs? Where did he ever make that statement? Ahad Itznan. He said it on the following Mishnah. We'll continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Tazayin Amar Aleph.